and welcome back for another math lesson. Today, we will be adding 1 to numbers 1 through 5 to see the patterns of the next number using pictures and equations. Please have paper, pencil, and crayons ready so you can do the beginning work with me. You will need the math book to complete your independent work at the end of the lesson. So on your piece of paper, you need to set it up a little bit like this. The most important part is to draw, whether it's squares or circles, 10 of them, 5 in the first row and then 5 in the next row. You don't have to worry about setting up if it's going to be the addition equation or the subtraction equation. Okay, that will be easy enough for you to write as we go along, and even the number bond is okay not to set it up. But if you could get a total of 6 of these problems ready, so you'll need to be making 6 sets of 10 squares or 5 circles, just like this, and then we will be coloring them in based on following directions. You'll be needing a blue and green crayon, and it's okay to use markers or colored pencils. And if you don't have blue or green, then see what color you have that's close to the blue and the green. So pause the video so you can get your paper set up. You'll need 6 of these set up. Okay, I hope you're ready for the first one. We need to look at what the directions are telling us. Color 9 squares green and 1 square blue. And if you drew circles, that's okay, but I have squares, so my directions are using the word squares. So I need to color 9 green, 9 of them green. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I hope you also are coloring in 9 green. And I know on the computer, I kind of color a little faster than you do. So pause whenever you need to. And now I'm going to color 1 blue. And now I can fill in my equation. I have 9 squares green plus 1 that is blue. So I have 9 plus 1 equals, well, how many do you draw to begin with? Because we've colored all of them. So that was 10. And now let's take a look at this number bond and that you can write it yourself on your paper. Think where the whole number is going to go. And our whole amount, all that we've colored in, was 10. 9 that were green and 1 that was blue. All right, let's go on to the next one now. And again, let's read the directions. Color 8 squares green and 1 square blue. Remember at the beginning, I said that what we would be doing would be adding 1 to numbers. So we're going to always be coloring 1 that's blue. But this time it's color 8 that will be green. So get busy coloring your green. I have 8 squares that are colored in green, and now I need 1 square blue. And then there is a square that is not colored in, and so it is not part of my equation. When I am writing my equation now, I have 8 that were green plus 1 that is blue equals my whole amount is only what I've colored in. Do not count the square that was not colored in. So it's not 10. I drew 10 squares, but I didn't color all of them in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, 9. So this time it's 9. 9 plus 1 equals 10. 8 plus 1 equals 9. These directions say color 7 squares green and 1 square blue. So 7 green. Get busy coloring 7. I have my 7 squares that are green and 1 square that is blue. And look at that. Now I have 2 squares that are not colored in, so I won't be counting them. Let's see, what will our equation be? You write it down and say it with me. 7 plus 1 equals 8. All right, so 7 and then just one more, the very next number, 7, 8. And now let's look at this number bond and think where the whole amount will go. Is my whole amount 10 because I drew 10 squares? No, because I didn't color all of them in. My whole amount is only the amount I'm talking about, which is the 8 of them that I've colored, 8. And now the parts are 7 that were green and 1 that is blue. All right, I hope you're ready for some more. I told you that there would be 6 of these. But let's take a look at what we have on this paper to notice any patterns. We had 9 plus 1 equals 10. 8 plus 1 equals 9. 7 plus 1 equals 8. Is there anything you are noticing about our equations or the pictures? So maybe you noticed that our first addend kept getting a little smaller, 9, 8, 7. Maybe you noticed that we were always adding 1, adding 1, adding 1. Or perhaps you noticed that the sums also got smaller, 10, 9, 8. And think about that because we started with 9, then 8, then 7. So it would be that the sums are also going in the pattern like that, going down, 10, 9, 8. And maybe in the picture you noticed that this picture had 0 blank squares, this had 1 blank square, and this had 2 blank squares. Lots of things to take notice of. Let's move on to the next page. Maybe you need to get your next piece of paper ready or all set, so pause if you need to. This says color 2 squares green and 1 square blue. That should be quick enough for us to do. 2 squares green, 1, 2, and 1 square blue. Wow, that's a lot of squares we're not going to be using this time. Let's write our equation. 2 squares that are green plus 1 square that's blue. I bet you know that answer right away. 2 plus 1 equals 3. Right? 1, 2, 3. Don't worry about that. There's all 10 of those there, just what we've colored in. So our whole amount is 3 that's colored in, 2 green, 1 blue. 2 plus 1 equals 3. Color 1 square green and 1 square blue. Wow, that's it? Okay. 1 square green, 1 square blue. So our equation is 1 plus 1 equals 2. And now this one. Color 0 squares green and 1 square blue. So pick up your green crayon and color 0 green. I hope you put it right back down. It means you don't need to use it, right? 0 means you are not coloring it in. 1 square blue. That's it. So we had 0. We started with 0 squares. 0 squares green. 0 plus 1 equals 1. So our whole amount is 1 that was colored in. That's it, just 1. We had 0 that were green and the 1 that is blue. Now take a look at these equations and pictures and see what type of pattern you notice. So maybe you noticed that the first addend, we went in order counting down. 2, 1, 0. And maybe you saw the second addend again was plus 1, plus 1, plus 1. And our answer, which is the sum when we add, was also like counting down. 3, 2, 1. And let's take a look at what we did not color in. Oh, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 that were not colored in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 7 not colored in, then 8 not colored in. How many you think are not colored in here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And 9 that are not colored in there. So sometimes on a math paper, you may notice a type of pattern, counting up or counting down. So after you've completed a paper, sometimes it's fun to see if you notice if there's a counting down pattern or a counting up pattern. All right, I hope you're going to do that when you do your work yourself. So now it's time for you to do that work on your own. You make sure you have your math workbook or a piece of paper if needed. So you will be completing pages 167, 168, and 169 on your own. As always, I only have copies of the first 2 pages. So this is 167 and 168. You will be hopefully noticing some different kinds of patterns with the adding of 1. You'll see there's a number line here that you could use, and there are circles that you'll be coloring in, and you might not be coloring in all the circles every single time. So take notice of any kinds of patterns. Make sure if the directions say that you have to use a certain color, then use the color that it says, or if you can use whatever color you like, make sure then if it's only 2 colors, you might need to do something like that. So read carefully. And then on page 169, you'll read that and make a picture to match the story problem that is there. I look forward to seeing your colorful work, and maybe you can even make it be a little video where you can tell me about the pattern that you noticed, or you write a sentence about the type of pattern that was on the math papers. And you know what I'm going to say. Have fun.